we have studied about how do metals react with non-metals, and we have seen that the metal reacts with non-metals by the transfer of electron from metal to non-metal, and the bond which is formed by this process by transfer of electron is called ionic bond or electrovalent bond, and the compounds are known as ionic compounds or electrovalent compounds. And in this way we have studied. Now the next point that we have to study is the properties of the ionic compound. Now regarding the properties of the ionic compound, for example, you can take NaCl, KCl, LiCl, CaO, MgCl2, etc. You can take the various compounds and take the small quantity of the compound on the spatula and heat on the burner and see the flame. So different salts, different compounds will give different type of flame. And you can say you will find by reading these compounds having very high melting point and boiling point. Then you will find if you will add small quantity of these salts in 10 ml of water or 20 ml of water, these salts are soluble in water. And you will also find that if you add small quantity of the salt, 1 or 2 gram of salt into kerosene, petrol, petroleum ether, etc., you will find that these salts are insoluble in the organic solvent. And again, so in this way we can study the different properties, and therefore one first property we can say that ionic compounds or electrovalent compounds are solid and somewhat hard, and this is due to the strong electrostatic forces of attraction, because there is a strong electrostatic forces of attraction between the positive and negative ion, and these compounds are somewhat brittle and can be broken down into pieces when the pressure is applied. For example, to take the crystal of NaCl, you take the crystal of potassium chloride, and if the pressure is applied, you will find that on applying the pressure, these pieces, you can say, the solid NaCl, KCl, etc., they are converted into fine pieces. That means they are brittle. The next important property that they are having high melting point and boiling point, as I have told you. And as they are having high melting point and boiling point, why these boiling points and melting points are very high? Because the boiling points and melting points are very high due to strong electrostatic forces of attraction, by means of which two ions are held together. And in order to melt this compound, we have to heat the compound, and when the heat overcomes the electrostatic forces of attraction, or when the heat overcomes the forces of attraction between the two ions, then the solid starts melting. And in the same way, boiling. And we have seen boiling point is the temperature at which vapor pressure of the liquid becomes equal to external pressure applied, which is generally 1 atmosphere. And in this way, when these forces are broken down, or when the heat overcomes these forces, then you can say these compounds start melting, and very high heat energy is required for the melting and boiling of these salts, for the melting and boiling of these compounds. And thus, you can say that these compounds are having very high melting point and boiling point, because there is a strong, you can say, there is a strong electrostatic forces of attraction between the two ions, and when we supply the heat and when the heat overcomes these forces, then only melting takes place. And in this way, these compounds are very high. You can say between 1 and boiling point. Then about the solubility. Regarding the solubility, I have told you that NaCl, KCl, MgSO4, MgCl2, all these compounds are soluble in water. Now remember, because in these compounds, yesterday I have told you that NaCl does not exist as aggregate of NaCl molecules, but it exists as aggregate of the ions, oppositely charged ions. So aggregation of the oppositely charged ions. Now water is a polar solvent. Water is a polar solvent which has tendency to cut the electrostatic forces of attraction between the two ions. So between positive and negative ion, there are electrostatic forces of attraction, and these forces of attraction are cut by a polar solvent like water. And therefore, these compounds are soluble in water but insoluble in kerosene, in ether, in petroleum ether, in petrol, etc. So these are the inorganic compounds. And remember, inorganic compounds are insoluble in the organic solvent, while organic compounds are soluble in the organic solvent. And this is remember. So water is a polar solvent, has tendency to cut the electrostatic forces of attraction between the two ions, and thus you can say has tendency to cut the electrostatic forces of attraction between the two ions, and therefore these compounds are soluble in water. And similarly, these ions, or you can say these compounds, do not carry the electric current in their solid state. Because conduction of current means the movements of ions, and in solid state ions are strongly held by each other. They are strongly attracted, and therefore these ions, they do not move in the solid state, and therefore they are poor conductor of electricity in the solid state. But on heating, when they melt, there is a formation of, that is in the molten state. In the molten state, these ions have free motion, and therefore these ions conduct the electric current or carry the electric current. And similarly, their aqueous solution, for example, if you take the pure distilled water, it is poor conductor of electricity. But if you dissolve the NaCl salt in small quantity, there will be the ions, and because of the ions, and you can say because of the ions, the water conducts the electricity. We know that the rainwater conducts the electricity because in rainwater, you can say some ions are present, because the aerial carbon dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, they get dissolved and form sulfuric acid, and nitrous acid, nitric acid, etc. So these carbonic acid, etc. And therefore you can say the aqueous solution of this salt conducts the water. And in this way, because in this way you can say the ionic compound possess these properties. So the physical properties we have studied, that they are generally solid and hard, somewhat hard, but and you can say why hard, because there is a strong electrostatic forces of attraction between the two ions, and you can say they are also brittle because they can be converted into fine pieces. Then we have seen they are soluble in water, and they are insoluble in they are highly soluble in water, but they are insoluble in the kerosene, petrol, ether, acetone, etc. because they are the non-polar solvent. Water is a polar solvent. Water has tendency to cut the electrostatic forces of attraction between them. Then we have seen they are having high melting point and boiling point because there you can say the two ions are held together by strong electrostatic forces of attraction and which generally do not separate easily, and therefore they require very high heating to separate these forces of attraction, and when we heat and when the heat overcomes the electrostatic forces of attraction between the ions, then you can say ions are separated. Then you can say the electrostatic forces of attraction breaks and melting takes place. And in the same way, for boiling also the same thing is required. That is more quantity of it is required. And I will tell you, for example, NaCl has melting point of 1074 Kelvin and boiling point 1686. The boiling point of NaCl means near about 1400 degrees Celsius. While NaCl has melting point 800 degrees Celsius. LiCl 887 Kelvin degree, you can say 887 Kelvin or near about 600 degrees Celsius, and boiling point 1600 Kelvin. Then CaCl2 1045 Kelvin means near about 800 degrees Celsius, and boiling point of CaCl2 1900 Kelvin, or you can say near about 1600 degrees Celsius. CaO 2850 Kelvin degree, you can say 2850 Kelvin, and boiling point 3120 Kelvin means near about 2900 degrees Celsius. So in this way, NaCl2 981 Kelvin or absolute melting point and boiling point 1685 near about 1400 degrees Celsius. So in this way we have studied that these salts, these compounds having higher melting point and boiling point. And again we have seen that in solid state they do not carry the electric current, because in solid state ions are not free for motion, and if the ions are not free for motion, then no conduction of electricity takes place, and therefore we will say that these compounds are poor conductor of electricity in solid state. But when we start heating and at the temperature of melting point, the compound melts, that is in molten state, these ions are obtained, and therefore in molten state these compounds carry the electric current. And then about when the aqueous solution is prepared, these compounds are soluble in water. Therefore when the aqueous solution is prepared, then what happens? The ions are formed. Water has tendency to cut the electrostatic forces of attraction between the ions, and therefore you can say ions are separated and carry the electric current, and thus in aqueous solution they carry the electric current. Therefore they carry the electric current, and in this way we have studied the physical properties of the ionic compound or electrovalent compound. Then the questions are given. Write the electron cross structure for sodium. Now about the sodium symbol in atomic number 11, we can write the electronic configuration 281 or 1s2. I have 1s2, 2s2, 2p6 and 3s2. Thus sodium has only one electron in the outermost shell, and therefore to represent the symbol with outermost electron is called its electron dot structure. That means electron is represented by dot, and sodium having only one electron in its outermost shell. Therefore, we write electron dot structure for sodium as any one electron. Then about the magnesium. So any electron dot structure here. Then about magnesium, See, atomic number 12, 282, and electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 2p6 and 3s2. So magnesium having 2 electrons in its outermost shell, and therefore symbol of magnesium is Mg, and magnesium with 2 dots which are considered as the electron is the electron dot structure for magnesium. And then oxygen, O, atomic number 16. Atomic number of oxygen is 8, and you can say 2, 6 is the electronic structure. 1s2, 2s2 and 2p4 and 2p4. So in this way, outermost shell is containing 6 electrons, and in 2p4 there is a 2px2, 2py1, 2pz1, and therefore we can represent as oxygen 2 electrons. So 2 electrons, then these 2 electrons, and you can say 2py1, 2pz1. So this is 2py1, 2pz1. So this is the electron dot structure for oxygen. So there are 2 unpaired electrons. Unpaired electron in oxygen in the outermost shell of the oxygen, and there are 2 paired electrons. So 2s2 pair and 2px2 pair. These are the paired electrons, and this is the K shell. Therefore, we need not think about the K shell, and only we are considering the outermost shell, the number of unpaired electrons were present, unpaired electron and paired electron which are present in the outermost shell of the oxygen. They are shown by dot, and thus when the symbol of formula is represented by electron with dot. Then show the formation of Na2O and MgO by transfer of electron.